Picture the exact moment you finally get it. The offer letter, the specific number in the bank account, the finished project. You bled for it for years, and now you are standing in the quiet afterward, waiting for the feeling to arrive. And it doesn't come. Instead, the excitement drains out of you like water through your fingers. This emptiness follows the achievement of almost every major milestone, leaving a question you are almost afraid to say out loud. Is this it? Psychologist Tal Ben-Shahar calls this the arrival fallacy. It is the near-universal belief that reaching an external goal will finally bring lasting peace. The belief feels entirely true, right up until the moment you test it. This fallacy runs the show through 1,000 small postponements. You tell yourself you'll relax once the deadline passes, or you'll enjoy the money once there is a little more of it. We live in the waiting room of a better version of ourselves that is always one achievement away. This creates a cycle where you spend decades sprinting toward a horizon while your actual life, the mornings, the meals, and the people right in front of you, blurs past unnoticed. You save your existence for a later that never actually arrives. The hollow feeling at the summit is the most predictable thing your brain will ever do to you. It is the result of specific biological machinery, and once you understand the gears, you stop being its victim. In 1978, researchers looked for the two groups you would expect to sit at the absolute extremes of human happiness. On one side, they tracked 22 people who had recently won the lottery. On the other, 29 people who had been paralyzed in accidents. This graph tracks their well-being over time. For the lottery winners, the initial windfall was supposed to rewrite their existence. But within 18 months, their happiness settled back to where it was before they ever bought the ticket. Even worse, ordinary joys like a morning coffee felt less satisfying. The people who had been paralyzed showed a resilience that broke the researchers' intuition. While the initial fall was brutal, they adapted far more than anyone predicted, eventually drifting back toward a level of well-being only modestly below everyone else. This force pulling everyone back to center is called the Hedonic Treadmill. It acts as a psychological thermostat. Push the temperature up with a big win, and the system works to cool you back down to your set point. Push it down with a loss, and it works just as hard to warm you back up. Data shows that a large share of the differences in our baseline happiness, around 40%, traces back to genetics. The external circumstances we obsess over, like the salary and the house, account for a very small slice of lasting happiness. Because of this biological set point, crossing your next finish line will fail to produce the permanent shift you expect. The system is designed to return you to exactly where you started, no matter how hard you run. Why would the mind promise a massive reward for success, only to refuse payment once the goal is reached? To find the answer, we have to look into the reward system itself. Neuroscientist Kent Berridge spent years pulling apart the assumption that dopamine is the pleasure chemical. He discovered that dopamine doesn't actually produce the hit of joy you feel when you get what you want. Berridge found that the brain handles desire and enjoyment in two different ways. Wanting, the pull toward a reward, runs on a large, powerful, dopamine-soaked network. It is built to keep you moving forward. Liking, the actual pleasure of the reward, runs on a much smaller, more fragile set of circuits that barely depends on dopamine at all. These two systems are often out of sync. Dopamine surges while you are climbing, while the goal is still uncertain and glittering on the horizon. The brain devotes its most relentless system to the pursuit itself. The moment you grasp the goal, there is nothing left to want. The wanting system shuts off, and the dopamine surge tapers off. This reward hardware is built for the hunt, not for the meal. The emptiness at the summit indicates the machine is working exactly as designed. The goal was simply the story the mind told to keep the system running. You were chasing the chase. If the biological treadmill is inevitable, it might seem like striving is pointless. But human beings do not adapt back to baseline on everything. Certain goods keep giving long after the novelty should have worn off. The Greeks distinguished between hedonia, the happiness of feeling good, and eudaimonia. Aristotle defined eudaimonia not as a mood, but as an activity. While moods are subject to the brain's thermostat, An activity lived in accordance with virtue is a continuous process that doesn't trigger the possession signal that shuts the reward system down. Marcus Aurelius understood this without ever needing a brain scanner. As emperor, he had arrived at every conceivable summit, yet his writings focus on acting with justice and courage in the present moment, rather than the prizes he had already won. This approach bypasses the treadmill because meaning is never consumed. In a life of virtue, the reward is woven into the effort itself. Because there is no final payout at the end of the work, there is no summit to reach and then feel empty on. The emptiness of arrival is a message from your own nervous system. It is a sign that no finish line can hold the weight you are trying to place on it. The machine that promised you peace at the destination is built to move the goalpost the instant you arrive. Lasting satisfaction is built into the way you live today. It is found in the discipline you keep when no one is watching, and in the work you do with care because doing it well is its own reward. Arrival was an illusion. The road was always the life. The real question is not what you will chase next, but who you are willing to become while you walk.